Okay, so I'm just going to use the shears and quadrant to measure a clover perennial ryegrass sward. And look, as you can see across the paddock there, there's quite a lot of clover in this. We probably estimate that this would be probably somewhere between 50 and 60% of the dry matter produced by this paddock is coming from clover in itself, and it's probably a bit too high. It's just in this paddock, again, for whatever reason, the clover established itself very, very strongly. Okay, and obviously there's issues and concerns in terms of bloat with clover. The farmer that's on this farm is very cognizant of that and is very careful just to restrict the allowances of the cows when they come into this paddock. Basically, when they come in here first for their first grazing, they're just allocated probably only a 3-hour strip among all the cows, so that they graze the clover leaves at the start, which are dangerous in terms of bloat. But then, of course, as they continue to graze through the sward, they're grazing down then into the lower horizons of the sward, which contain more stem, and then they're grazing down then to the lower, again down to close to the residual, which has more roughage in it again. All of those factors coming together to help prevent bloat. If he left them in over the whole paddock, they would just continuously walk around and pick off the leaves, which are the bloat risk, and then again bloat would probably be inevitable, with potentially serious consequences. So that alone is just one tip or one trick going into a high clover paddock, just to give it maybe a 2 to 3 hour restricted amount first, and then once they have that grazed down to the residual, their really intense drive to graze is less, and then you can take up the strip wire and let them over the rest of the paddock, again to reduce the bloat risk. So again, just to use the shears and quadrant in terms of measuring a clover rich sward. Again, the key thing with the shears and quadrant is just to try to place it in a fairly representative part of the paddock that represents the general cover. So I think this area here is reasonably representative of what we see in front of us there. So again, just place the quadrant on my bag, my shears, and the scales. Again, cutting to about 3.5 centimeters. Again, just to measure the weight of the bag. So this has a weight of 125 grams. Okay. So again, we get the calculator. Okay, so the formula again, 125 grams times the proportion of dry matter. So again, this is a common question in terms of what is the percentage, or how does it differ in terms of the percentage of dry matter in a perennial ryegrass sward versus a clover sward. Generally, you would be dropping if the perennial ryegrass dry matter content is 16%, you would estimate the clover to be 1% lower. So you would estimate it to be about 15%. Okay. So again, I would say earlier on we did a cut earlier on in a ryegrass dominant sward. We said that was about 16.5%, so we'd probably be putting this at 15.5% for this. So again, 125 times 0.155 for the proportion of dry matter equals that, and then you multiply by 40, because there's 40,000 of these quadrants in a hectare. So here, the shears and quadrant method is estimating that this paddock has about 775 kilos of dry matter per hectare available. That's available from 3.5 centimeters up, available in this paddock at the moment. Again, so that in total cover terms for New Zealand or UK viewers, that is about 2,200 to 2,300 kilos of dry matter total cover, right down to the soil level per hectare.